Welcome back to the Bluegrass on this beautiful December morning. I'm out with Romeo, an awesome dog de Bordeaux, and Stone, an awesome broken coat Jack Russell Terrier. And what we're going to do this morning is we're going to work quite a few different dogs. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot. What I'm going to try to do is demonstrate how I make subtle adjustments to my particular training protocols based on the dog's type, its developmental stage, and its experience level up to that point, okay? So right here, can you see both of these dogs, cameraman? Romeo is 6 months old and Stone is 5 months old. And if I tried to hold both of these dogs to the same expectations every day when I was working with them, well, obviously, I'm going to be disappointed in one or the other. So it's super important for you to learn a systematic approach to influencing dogs, but to understand that you have to make adjustments based on the type of dog that you have, the age, the developmental stage, the prior experience in terms of learning opportunities, and probably most important, if you're in the dog training business, is helping owners manage expectations, okay? So Romeo, you got to look at him. He looks a little tired, wanting to lay down a lot right now. That's because yesterday it snowed for the first time, and Romeo is kind of like that friend of yours that when you go out with them, they drink a little too much beer and they eat a few too many ribs and they get the rib sauce all over their face and their shirt, and then they pay for it the next day, right? So Romeo came out yesterday. You can watch this video of him going crazy in the snow, and he just ran and ran and ran and ran, and all that running, it's really tiresome on a big dog, And so all morning he's been like, he's had basically a hangover, an exercise hangover. He's like, oh my gosh, I overdid it yesterday, and I feel him because sometimes I get to feeling really good. And I coach wrestling in the afternoons, and I'll get to mess with those kids, and I'll pay for it for a week. Now Stone, on the other hand, Stone's a trooper. Stone can go out and exercise and follow the four-wheeler around and come in, take a little nap, and recover, and he's ready to go again. Now Stone, this is one of the things that there's no substitute for experience in the dog training business, right? But Stone is a Jack Russell that's bred to have a real even temperament and kind of a moderate energy level. If you get a chance to train quite a few of these in a row and then you run up on a game bred Jack Russell, you won't know what to do, okay? So like even when you're watching my videos and you're seeing me work with a dog, and I'm talking about working with the type, okay, you have to understand breed or type is important, right? But it's not as important as the individual bloodlines, okay? Because it's like some Jack Russells, like this one, are perfect travel companions. The breeder of this dog bred the dog to be the perfect little companion, and he's great. He's got just enough energy to get out and play. He's just tough enough to, kind of run around with the big dogs and not get injured. He can stand up for himself. He's got a good little bit of backbone to him, but he's not the kind of terrier that's, on a constant search and destroy mission, right? And that's very important. Now, let me see. Back on up over there, cameraman, and see what Romeo's doing. Now, I want you guys to compare how still Romeo is being today with how active he was yesterday in the snow video. And tell me you don't have at least one friend that looks like Romeo, because I got a whole bunch of them I grew up with. They drink a case of beer on Sunday, and then on Monday they, really, really like not doing that good at work. All right, so back to Stone here. Okay, so Stone's pretty awesome. Now you'll notice that I was able to get so far all the way through the course without much in the way, much in the way of rewards. When I start to cycle through these dogs, you're going to see that some of the dogs require more rewards. They require a different cadence from my voice. They require a different cadence to my walk. Okay? They'll require different amounts of tension on the leash. And there's a lot of things that when you're watching my videos, it's important to understand that the true value of the videos is in watching the dogs and watching how I interact and influence the dogs, okay? Anybody can say stuff. I mean, there's millions of channels on YouTube of people saying stuff about dog training. It drives me crazy. Just one talking head after the other, or two talking heads talking to each other. And I'm like, hey, where are the dogs? So always just ask yourself, hey, where are the dogs? You'll notice also that when I'm doing my training, for the most part, I try not to spend too much time focusing on the dogs. You know, in our opinion, there's two types of dog training. You have dog-centric dog training, and that's where the dog training is the habit, is the hobby, right? So people come out every day and they want to see what they can do with the dog. And then you have the kind of dog training I do, which is I'm going to do interesting stuff. And if I have a dog that'll come and be still and have good manners, that dog can tag along with me and be an integral part of those activities, okay? So for me, basic obedience is meant to remove the impediments that get in the way of a dog learning to navigate life with you, you know. And so like with this little dog right here, he was perfect throughout the whole course. I don't know, did I even give him one treat, cameraman? No? Okay. And if you have a good little pattern cognizant dog that was bred to match the expectations that you have for that particular dog, training should be pretty seamless. That dog is 16 or 17, no, how old is cameraman? He's 17 weeks old, right? And you see already that we have a great base of obedience on him, and we expect that to get better and better and better until adolescence, and then we'll see a substantial drop-off just because of the boundary testing period, and then he'll come out and level off. And so that's kind of what it should be like if you have that type of dog. Now, on the other hand, if you have one of these big dogs like this, you might have to, instead of having the same training goals every day, you might have to really carefully track, you know, like your activity levels, and understand that following a high activity day, you have to lower your expectations just a little bit, okay? Because it's not fair to hold this dog to the same standard every day, because he gets literally physically more tired than this smaller dog, okay? So a lot of reasons for that, but you know, it's just the truth. This dog has a lot of growing left to do. And it's also just hard being a big person or a big dog. You know, you're just carrying more weight around. If you're a little person or a little dog, it's pretty easy, you know, it's pretty easy to be active all the time. Like I'm a little bitty person, and I feel like I just, you know, can outwork big people. I've never met a big person I couldn't outwork, you know. Very nice. All right, so I'll go in and we're going to get us what's going to turn into a small medium dog, right? A Boykin Spaniel. We're going to take a look at it. All right, so I went in and got Louie. Louie is an awesome Boykin Spaniel. Boykin Spaniels are one of our favorite dogs here at the kennel. We see a lot of them because people, as they start to get into their 60s, 70s, maybe early 80s, and they've had labs for a long time, will often switch to a Boykin Spaniel because a Boykin Spaniel have a lot of the same utilitarian values, but in a much more diminutive size, right? So like if you're used to having a lab, you like to do a little duck hunting, you like to do a little upland game hunting, and you just get to an age where, you know, physically handling a good sized dog like a lab becomes something that you're worried about. A smaller dog like a Boykin fits right in. These dogs are usually very good retrievers. And they're good in the water. We like them because they fit in the canoe and on the kayak very well, you know. So whenever we're doing adventure training, when we have these Boykins here, we can always let them tag along even if we have another big dog in the canoe, right? Sometimes it can be a lot to have two big dogs in the canoe, but these little guys here, they'll just kind of go up on the bow and sit there and not make any trouble, right? Now, when you're training these kind of dogs, if you're used to training, let's say, for example, you're used to training labs and you've decided just because like the physical size of the dog was too much, you switch to a Boykin, you have to understand that Boykins on average are very, very sensitive dogs. Okay, you can't be forceful with this dog. You can't have a harsh tone when you're training this dog. Everything needs to be based on really kind of a real sensitive, patient, positive interaction with the dog, okay? Sometimes, like, you'll have a dog, like, I've got a coonhound here, and he'll do something crazy, you know, and I'll go to get after the coonhound, and if this dog's even in the vicinity, then he feels like he's in trouble too, you know, and I'm like, dude, you're not in trouble, you're perfect. And he goes, yeah, but I don't like anybody to get in trouble. And if you think about it, you know how I'm always trying to draw parallels to people you know. Like I say, Romeo is your friend that drinks too much beer and gets rib sauce all over his face, right? Well, this is your friend you know that is overly empathetic, right? And so this dog's whole demeanor, its whole mood will change based on what's going on in the environment, right? And so like if I have somebody come out and they're kind of high strung, come on nerd, they're kind of high-strung with their dog, or a little bit overly, like, you know, domineering with their tone. And you know what I mean. Like, you've been around people that when they're training their dog, it all becomes, you know, bossing, right? Sit, 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 down, down, down. And it takes me a little while of interacting with those people to get them to relax and lead by example. You know, I like people to be calm, attentive, and polite, so that they can raise dogs that are calm, attentive, and polite. And, you know, those are qualities that not everyone possesses nowadays, okay? Well, if this little dog is out and somebody is down here and they're fussing at another dog, then it hurts his feelings. He'll kind of go over there and sit by the building and want to go in. Doesn't want to be around any kind of conflict. Now, you'll wonder why I keep going in a circle here. It's because I want this little dog to take every step down this ramp, okay? Now, what I want you to notice from that little section there that I just did, you notice that I didn't fuss at the dog any, okay? If I would have fussed at this little dog for jumping off of that ramp at all, it would have hurt his feelings to the point that for the whole rest of our little obedience routine that we're working on here, he would have had a pouty face on, you know? And that's no kidding. Like, that's how easy it is to hurt their feelings. So if they mess up, like right there, I don't really say anything about it. You know, I just kind of like, hey, let's try that again and see if we can't do it just a little better, you know? Whereas with some dogs, like if they're consistently, you know, being antsy with their feet, if they're consistently, you know, getting out of position, you can tell them. You can be like, hey, you know, pay attention to what you're doing. Not this one. Like, if you say hey to him, he's like, oh my God, you hate me. You know, I'm just going to go hide. No one loves me, right? So it's very, very important that we don't focus on the things that, the mistakes he makes, okay? So like when I'm training a Boykin, I try to just consistently build on my successes until the successes squeeze out the things that aren't so good, right? In other words, I basically never fuss at them. You know? Now, you might have had Boykins with a dissimilar experience, right? Maybe from different bloodlines, I don't know. But that's my opinion. So if you're a Boykin expert, you know, be sure to pipe in below. If you know some lines of Boykins that are exceptionally mentally resilient and take to harsh training well, well, go ahead, tell us below. But in my experience, do not get one of these dogs if you're the kind of person that likes bossing a lot. These dogs need a lot of understanding, you know. So basically, if you're a sensitive kind of person that likes to get out and challenge yourself, you know, mentally, but you don't get down on yourself when something doesn't go right, then you're a good person for this dog, okay? If you're the kind of person that gets upset when things go wrong, and inevitably in dog training things are going to go wrong, then, you know, like this is not the dog for you. Get up here. Like, see right there, I want this dog. You'll see that I like to stop right here at this section of the kayak. And these little Boykins, a lot of them are fidgety, you know, they're kind of like fidgety. And so you'll notice that I'm not fussing at him. I just keep bringing his attention back to here. And over the course of a few weeks, I'll be able to stop here and talk to the camera or talk to whoever I'm doing demonstrations for, and the dog will wait patiently in expectation of something good happening. Now, I'm not Pollyanna positive, and I'm not saying that nobody should ever just tell a dog what to do. I'm just saying with this particular dog, for me, it works a lot better if I just keep showing him the right way rather than focusing on what's happening when he does it the wrong way. Okay, now back up, cameraman. What Romeo's doing. Romeo always went over there and laid in my sit in motion spot, so I'm gonna have to skip that. Very nice. Okay, now we're gonna come up here. Very good. Good. Again, notice my demeanor. Once I started working this dog, like really calm, I brought my vocal inflection down to kind of a low tone. I started to draw out my words and had a real positive effect on this dog. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to get the opposite of this dog. I'm going to go get a Black and Tan Coonhound, and he's ready to party. Do you see what I'm saying? So like Romeo, that's your friend that drinks a little bit too much beer and eats some ribs, and then he's good until like maybe the next weekend. Okay, now I'm gonna go get this Black and Tan Coonhound, and he goes out on Friday night, on Saturday night, on Sunday night. You see what I'm saying? He's ready to party all the time. All right, so let me go get him and we'll see how I treat him differently. All right, so I went in and got Bear. Bear is an awesome Black and Tan Coonhound puppy. He's about, what, cameraman, 5 months old, 22 weeks, something like that. And this guy is all go all of the time. So the first thing you're going to notice with this dog is that, like with the other dogs, I didn't have to do a whole lot of rewarding, okay? Basically, the way reward-based training works is you're trying to get enough successful repetitions with the dog exhibiting a certain behavior to reach what's known as the habituation threshold. In other words, it might take me, 1,000 times of rewarding something before the dog just kind of gets in the habit of doing it that way. And then in life, really habit is what's the strong motivator, right? I see this all the time being in the social media business. A lot of people are what we call motivation junkies, right? They always need the next video, they always need the next seminar, they always need the next trend in dog training, to get them motivated, to make them think they're going to do stuff. But ultimately, it's just the people who consistently do something that are successful. That's why there's so much argument about methodology in the dog business, is because pretty much all of it will work if you'll stick to it. Now, the problem with sticking to something is so few people really understand how to implement a system nowadays, that finding someone who can teach you a particular methodological approach about dog training is getting harder and harder by the day. Most of the more successful YouTube dog trainers, really what they are technique collectors. So they just go around collecting techniques from people who may not have that used car personality or that good video editor that allows them to chop videos up and make dog training seem easier than it is. Okay, because this is what you have to understand about dog training. Dog training is very simple, okay, but simple and easy are not the same things. So there aren't any 5-minute fixes, there aren't any 1-minute fixes, there aren't any 10-minute fixes, right? The only fixes are getting up every day with appropriate expectations and putting in the amount of work that it takes to move forward that day. Sometimes you're going to take some little steps forward and sometimes some big steps forward, but ultimately the people who don't stop taking steps forward are the ones that end up successful, okay? And that's what you have to remember. So when you're consuming social media content, make sure you're consuming content from someone who has consistently shown that they use the same methodological approach over time to get good results with dogs, okay? And that's what this video is really about, is I want you guys to see how I have to change what I'm doing to suit the dog. Now this dog here, you'll see he's going to be at the end of the leash more, he's going to be pulling more, he's just going to be trying more stuff. He does more of everything. He runs more, he barks more, he needs more love, he plays more, he humps more, he carries around more sticks than most of the dogs, because this is a dog bred to have a high energy level, a high endurance level, and a quick recharge rate, okay? Hounds are bred to move away from a handler and make noise until the handler comes and finds them. Okay, so having a hound in the suburbs is what we refer to consistently as the square peg, round hole problem. It's very hard to have a dog like this in the suburbs unless you're looking at it as a hobby. Now, if you're looking at it as managing this type of dog as, you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit difficult, but it's going to be very rewarding because you like what your ultimate end state looks like, well, then having this kind of dog is cool. Sometimes people get confused about why people make the choices that they make in dog training, and a lot of people just aren't looking for the easy thing. Not everybody wants, because from my perspective, I'm always trying to get people to get labs because that's easy for me. Like, they bring labs here, labs are easy to fool with, they get along good with the other dogs, and so we like it. And when I'll ask people, I say, why didn't you get a lab? Well, they're just like, well, I just wanted something different. Okay, well, if you get something different, well, you're getting a different set of problems, And so if you get this kind of dog, it's not that this kind of dog can't do all the stuff the other kind of dogs do. It's just going to need more supervision, it's going to need more exercise, it's going to need more understanding, and most importantly, it's going to need a longer timeline for you to ultimately realize your goals, right? So I'm going to do the same course that I was doing with the other dogs, but with this one, I'm just going to be rewarding a whole lot more because this dog's attention span naturally isn't as good as the other dogs. You see, he's just getting bored here. That's not got anything to do with intelligence. That's got to do with the fact that I'm not really interacting with him much and I'm talking to you guys. Now watch, I'm going to switch here and I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to him. Come on, buddy, you can do it. That's a very good dog. He's a very good dog. So, oh my gosh, he's very nice. Yes, that's a good dog. I really appreciate that effort. Oh my gosh, you're a very good dog. Wait, So like if I'm working with this dog, it might just be a little longer before I can use him when I'm doing demonstrations or I'm making videos, and he seems to be calm, attentive, and polite while I'm busy, while I'm looking away, right? So not only am I having to use more reinforcement, right, okay, from the point of view of the tangible reinforcements, the food work that I'm doing, okay, I also have to give him kind of more of an emotional connection. Good boy, let's go. Very nice. Come on, up, 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 up. Oh my gosh, he's a very good dog. Oh, look at that good dog. He's a very good dog. Now, easy. Very good. Oh my gosh, he's a very good dog. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Very nice. Now notice, as soon as I start talking to him excitedly, like he's like an emotional mirror. He starts giving me emotion back, but he's a magnifying mirror, so he'll give it back to me times about 10. Very nice. Good boy. Now these other dogs come up, and maybe I'll reward them every so often. Very nice. Just for coming up and being good dogs. Good boy. And making this dog understand that just because somebody else is getting attention, doesn't mean that he's not going to get attention. He doesn't need to have a go to pieces. Very nice. Come on, you can do it. Up. Very nice. Good dog. There we go. Good dog. You're a very coordinated coonhound. Yes, you are. Very nice. Now watch me. I'm trying to get him to move, and so I'm sounding kind of exciting, you know. Now watch, I'm going to try to get him to stay still, so I have to, you know, sound calm. Come on. Sit. Stay. You see how my vocal inflection changed? My posture changed. Very nice. Very nice. Good boy. Let's go. Come on, come on. Very good dog. Come on, you can do it. Oh my gosh. What a coordinated dog you are. You're a very talented coonhound. Very nice. It's a good boy. Now, if you'll go back to the very first part of the video when I was just talking to you guys, not talking to the dog, he wasn't nearly as interested in what I was doing. But as soon as I went to paying attention to him, make him a little bit more of the center of the activity, he got pretty focused on me. Good boy. You're a very good dog. Oh my gosh, easy. And then if you want to go back and like compare how many click and treats you heard in the videos with the Jack Russell and with the Boykin versus how many click and treats you heard with this dog. And you're going to notice it's probably, what do you think, cameraman, 50 to 1. And that's every day, you know. So every day we wake up and we just know that we're going to have to pay a little bit more attention to this dog. We're going to have to give him a few more treats, right? And we're going to have to exercise him a little more because he basically never gets tired. You know, like I run, you know, like we're doing different things here. We got some dogs that are here for just basic obedience, some that are doing adventure training, and like some that just can't. Back up and show them again, Romeo. Some dogs, like after our initial morning session, like this is what they do, right? Okay, they just lay around. That's a big dog. Like people think that big dogs are hard to have. You know, the big dogs are easy. This guy here, listen, he's already been up and he's been out with every group of dogs, right? We don't put him up ever. We just take it, whatever we're working on, he just tags along. And he's great at tagging along. The only problem that we have, you know, out of him, which you can, you know, guess, right, is like, man, is he noisy when he's not getting his way, right? Okay, so that's our big problem with letting him tag along. But as far as being friendly and outgoing and getting along really great with the other dogs, being able to keep up, he can run beside the four-wheeler already at like 5 months. He can run beside the four-wheeler like all day. Comes, he gets a floorboard of the truck and curls up, and then by the time we get to the next place we're going, he's ready to rock and roll again. You know, so he's awesome. I mean, I really like him. But you have to remember, I get paid by the day. Right? So I'm not in any hurry for the dogs to make progress. But if you're thinking about getting a hound, you better be wanting a hobby. Okay, that's all I can tell you. All right, now we'll go get a German Shepherd. That's what we'll look at next. So I went in and I got another Bear. Okay, so we have Bear the Coonhound and we have Bear the German Shepherd. Now I'm going to take Bear the German Shepherd over here and put him on this short exam table. And I'm going to take a look at him from the side. And you guys can tell me you know, what you know about this kind of German Shepherd. Okay, German Shepherds, whenever I put them on the channel, People always have something to say about them. Sometimes they have the good things to say about them. Sometimes they have not so good things to say about them. Okay, but let me get him where he looks a little better here. We'll go ahead and get this out of the way right now. This is the dog. He's got a long coat, and this is how he's built. So if you want to say something, just pause the video and go ahead and start typing, you know, so that you can come back and enjoy the rest of the video. All right, now, so this bear, he's about 11 months old, and we don't take a lot of mid-adolescent dogs, but we do every so often, you know. And so I took this dog because my assistant is not particularly familiar with this bloodline of German Shepherds, and so I wanted to give her an idea of, you know, what it would be like to work with this guy, right? Okay, so I'm gonna be interested to hear if your expectations related to Bear match up with his actual personality and physical characteristics. So go ahead, tell me what you think. All right, but all in all, this is a pretty sensitive dog, right? And he's pretty easy to work with. What I do like about German Shepherds is that they're very pattern cognizant, right? So I can come out here and work on something with this dog, and we can use just a little bit of reward work and a whole lot of rote repetition and get some good results with this, right? So what I like to do when people come down here for lessons and stuff is I like to have all the dogs in the kennel interact with all the people that are here for lessons. You know, what we just say is that the more hands on leashes, the better, okay? So I want dogs to have a wide variety of experiences interacting with human beings. I want human beings to have a wide variety of experiences interacting with dogs, so that the people can learn to influence dogs a little better and the dogs can learn to be influenced. And some of the stuff that we do, it looks easy on TV, like managing your clicker and your rewards, but it can be kind of difficult in real life. For example, you know, German Shepherds, if you're in the dog business, really in the dog business, you really train a lot of dogs, you know that it can be difficult to deliver your treats because the German Shepherd's nose kind of sticks out kind of far, and people always end up dropping their treats or getting their, you know, hands nibbled on or whatever. It's not a super big deal in the summer or the springtime, but nowadays, you know, like in the wintertime, it's a big deal because it's already hard enough to get people to take their gloves off and do a little bit of food work, but it's really hard if they're getting slobber on their hands, like with that dog de Bordeaux, or they're getting their fingers nipped, like sometimes will happen with this guy on accident, right? Okay, but for the most part, what I like about using this type of dog to educate owners is that if the person will be very deliberate with their actions and very clear with their expectations, then just simple interaction between the person and the dog. This dog's very sensitive, very intuitive, and so he picks up well on the expectations of the person, so they don't have to be masters of doing reward work, right? Okay, and so what I like about these dogs here is really just simply that good old-fashioned training works really well with them. You know, you just put them in situations and you do things over and over and over again until they get it right, and you tell them that you're happy with them when they get it right. Oh my gosh, you're a very good dog. And that works really good, you know. Like back when poodles and German Shepherds were more popular, you know, a lot of the training was just kind of show them what to do and then pet them and praise them when they do it right. And, you know, nowadays, people don't even know how well that works because they're trying to do it on different kinds of dogs, right? So, like, again, getting back to judging, you know, like understanding the protocols that you're using in relation to the dog and managing your expectations, right? Okay, so a lot of the things that were standard operating procedures, watch out, nerd, were standard operating procedures back when German Shepherds were kind of the popular dog trainer's dog. Like, watch what I'm gonna do here, right here. I'm gonna make him sit, even though this dog's aggravating him. Go on, nerd, get up here. I'm just gonna make him sit. And all I did was I used a little leash pressure and a little cupping technique, you know, on his hindquarters there, and I got him to sit. And that really worked well for the types of dogs trainers used to have. And then, like, you know, 90s, early 2000s, the real high-strung herding dogs, the Border Collies, the Australian Shepherds, especially the Malinois, got to be very popular. And when they got to be very popular, like these types of methods, these rote repetition methods don't work as well. And then of course these kind of dogs aren't as flashy. So everybody started hauling a ball around with them, hauling food around with them, hauling frisbee around with them and stuff. And so in short Instagram clips and stuff, it looks like the Border Collies and the Malinois are like, way better at obedience, but ultimately they're actually just a lot better at being managed, because most of the time that you're seeing them do high-level obedience, they're doing it for an extrinsic reward, right? So they're doing the backing up, the sitting, the downing, the jumping, the fancy heeling. They're doing that because there's a ball or a tug somewhere in play on the handler, you know what I'm saying? Or the dog's wearing an electric collar. And even if the handler is pretending, you know, they have their own remote on, and you're like, well, they're not even using the remote. They are, they're just having somebody off camera use it, okay? So whenever you watch these dorks like walking around with young puppies doing perfect heeling, watch the puppies, watch the stress reaction, watch the worry lines on their face, watch the ears be tucked, especially when they tell them to lay down and stuff, because somebody off of the camera is hitting them with the electric, okay? And I'm not saying electrics are bad, but like, let's just be transparent in this whole process. Let's go. Now, for this particular kind of shepherd, some of the things that are really good for us, like the rote repetition, the ability to put the leash in a lot of hands, okay, and that's really needed for this type of dog, just from a, you know, from a socialization experience. Some of the stuff we really struggle with, like, so for example, if we're doing rubble pile work, we have to be very careful and let the dog choose his own lines, and then understand that we're going to have to really build on his proprioception a teeny bit at a time. These German Shepherds that have this physical conformation, they oftentimes struggle with their balance and their body awareness, okay? And so it's not something that you can neglect. And as a matter of fact, we work on this with this dog more. He's just not as good at it. And that's the weird thing about dog trainers. You would think that if a dog does something well, that means somebody's worked with them a lot. No, most of the time, when a dog does something well, they just did it well, and you don't hardly have to work with them at all. It's dogs like this that can, like, so if you are blocking out some time for training dogs, right, and you have X amount of minutes allocated to, say, a rubble pile, you better have X, you know, times 3 if you're going to do it with a mid-adolescent German Shepherd. And if you're going to do it with a puppy German Shepherd, you got to be careful, because they're pretty fragile, you know. All right, now you see that? That's called a stress yawn. And we've done this rubble pile a lot of times, but it never fails that being on the rubble pile causes him a teeny bit of anxiety. Now, these German Shepherds being prone to anxiety is a well-known phenomenon. And so instead of avoiding the things that cause them to be a little anxious, what we do is we consistently put them in situations where they can have a little bit of anxiety and then overcome the environmental circumstances that's causing that anxiety, and that creates kind of what's called an adaptive response, right? So if you have a dog like this, whether you're a novice trainer or a professional trainer, okay, listen, don't shy away from the things that is causing the dog anxiety. Just take and like recreate those scenarios, just make the overall exposure a little bit less, right? So when we first started with the rubble pile, like, we didn't try to get him all the way up to the top. We would just get his feet right here on the first tire, and then we would get his feet on the tire and the rock, and then the tire, the rock, and the log, and we just went up just a little bit at a time, and now he's almost mastered it, okay? Now, some of the other things that you'll run into here, like you see where, like, a lot of the dogs have been stomping on the kayak and eating the ice, okay? Now, this is the first time a lot of these dogs have seen snow, and so they're really interested in it, you know? And again, when it comes to like adjusting your expectations, don't think that if something new and novel pops up in the environment that your dog is just gonna like stay laser focused on you and completely be able to exclude that new and novel thing in the environment, right? Okay, that ice is very interesting to this dog. Again, like I was saying with the Boykin, especially when you have sensitive dogs, don't fuss over stuff like that. Try to be understanding, try to have a high level of empathy, because again, who do you go out with in your life where something was new and neat in the environment, you would completely avoid looking at it or interacting with it just so you could stare at your cousin or your mom or your grandma, you know. I always ask people, I say, you know, did you like to go underwear shopping with your mom when you were little? Well, of course not, you know. Very nice, okay. So now I'm gonna let this dog go. And for the most part, you know, you see how easy he was to fool with here, right? And that's what I like about German Shepherds. What can be a little bit aggravating is that German Shepherds are fence runners, so like if I have another dog out there in one of the other pens, this dog will like to run the fence, and it makes it hard to draw them away. And they also like to kind of run and bully the other dogs. And German Shepherd, you know, German Shepherd owners always like to excuse their bullying behavior. You know, they'll say, oh, well, they're just hurting or whatever. You know, okay, listen, yeah, whatever. Don't let them be bullies, you know, because that makes people and dogs not like them. All right, now we're going to go get Labrador Retriever, right? And other than the fact that he's not the right color, you're going to see why, like, I like Labrador Retrievers. Very nice dogs. Very nice. All right, so I went in and got Bradley, and what you're going to notice now that Bradley's out here is everybody starts getting fired up. Bradley is what we call a dog trainer's dog, right? He has got a lot of energy, high endurance rate, quick recharge rate. He likes to fetch, he likes to eat, he loves attention, he loves to play with other dogs. And so, like, if you're a kind of person that's got something to do with the dog all day, this is a good dog for that particular circumstance, right? Okay, but when he comes out, everybody gets going because Bradley loves to play. And you know, those qualities that make him really good for an environment like mine, they make it really challenging for living in the suburbs, right? Now, I like to work with Bradley a whole lot with the marker training because I can use Bradley as a kind of a mid-level mentor dog when people come down, right? So sometimes, you know, when we're letting the black labs out that you guys are all familiar with, and people are working with them, they're so good that it makes the reward-based training look a lot easier than it is. Okay, and then sometimes we can have a dog like, say, the Coonhound, where it's kind of hard to get the control that you want with the reward work. And so sometimes people can get disappointed if you're letting them work with too new of a dog, or maybe a dog that's not super well suited for those protocols. Bradley, we like to have dogs like Bradley here because he's very easy to influence with marker training, and he's patient enough and polite enough that he can engage in these type of training exercises with lots of people over the course of the day, whether they're 8 years old or 80 years old. You know, now we do have to exercise him a little bit extra if we're going to have real little kids out here or real old people, because he's just so physical. You know, sometimes his youthful exuberance, he'll knock into them and stuff. But for the most part, like if you have this kind of dog, then marker training really works exceptionally well. And it's really easy to get them out and socialize because they're big enough and strong enough that they can play with a wide variety of dogs, but they have such easygoing temperaments that you don't have to worry about them really getting into conflict, you know. So that's what we like about dogs like Bradley. Very nice. If Bradley's going to mess up, it'll usually be as a result of trying to get his homework done without checking his work. You ever known like kids that are really good at math and they just know the answer, and so they just write the answer down and they don't check their work, so they ultimately don't end up learning all the proper steps in doing math, and then that comes back to haunt them like later on when they move up math levels. The same thing can happen with this kind of dog when you're doing reward-based training. Like sometimes they're so good at it, like you'll be in your kitchen, you'll be like sit down, stand, roll over, give me your paw, all that stuff, and they're doing it great, right? And so you'll skip some steps in your protocol. And again, this is why I think you need to learn a whole system, not just do technique collecting. And then it'll show up when you get yourself in areas of relative motivational deficits. So in other words, where there's other dogs around, or there's other people, or there's like you can hear the rooster next door, got a bunch of chickens next door. All of those things, if you don't have your protocols, your food work protocols on lock, your food work protocols won't give you reliability in those types of situations, okay? But as you can see, as I'm talking and doing this activity with this dog, he's exceptionally responsive to it. Very nice. Now, an interesting thing, though, is that the types of dogs like Bradley that are exceptionally responsive to food work protocols are also exceptionally responsive to traditional training approaches. Okay, so like you can have the same degree of success with this dog almost regardless of methodology, as long as the methodology is administered in a competent way. And that's, again, it gets back to why there's a lot of arguing in the dog business, is because like you take a dog like Bradley, and if you train him like the way I train dogs, where we're doing a whole lot of exercise, a whole lot of food work, and a whole lot of repetition, you can be successful. But if you trained him with traditional leash and collar work, you would also be successful. You know, like there's just a lot of ways to skin a cat, as they say. Very nice. Easy. So the main thing, like if you're watching this kind of video and you're trying to get an idea of, what kind of adjustments you would have to make to a training system based on the type of dog that you might be getting in the future, okay, understand this. Lots of things work, right? Okay, and what I mean by that is everything that's ever been written down, it worked for somebody on some dog at least some of the time for some reason, right? Okay, now a lot of dog training is trying to find you a little niche, and so you're always trying to act like you've come up with something new or a novel way to approach training, and that's not true. I mean, dogs and people have been living together a long time. Everything that can be tried has been tried. Okay, so what really is the key is if you find yourself drawn, say, to a particular dog training approach, okay, you want to watch people. Back up. You want to watch people that can consistently demonstrate that methodology with good results, and then you want to learn how to follow directions and see it through. And that's where a lot of dog training, on the interweb falls apart, in my opinion. Right? Okay, I'll take a competent trainer in their chosen methodology over a technique collector that has a hodgepodge approach to influencing dogs any and every day. Because people email me and they'll say, Stonnie, like, there's nobody in my area that trains like you. And I say, okay, well, listen, I mean, I don't know that that's a make or break kind of deal, because there's lots of ways to be successful. As long as there's somebody in your area that's doing something consistently that produces good results, then hang out with those people, because they probably have something to teach you. Does it mean it's the very best way to do it? Does it mean it's perfect? No, but we can't let perfect be the enemy of good enough, right? And that's something that you always have to understand, right? And just because I like to do things a certain way doesn't mean that that's the best way for you. For example, let's watch this dog again go to navigate this rubble pile. And I told you, I said, well, this dog is a dog trainer's dog. He's kind of good at everything. But he missed some very important training during his formative stages, and so his proprioception will never be where it should be, like if he would have been raised in the system from day one, right? And so, like, when you watch him do stuff, you see how he really struggles with this. And even though this is a dog trainer's dog, in other words, a dog that, like, theoretically should have been perfect for these type of activities, since he got started late, right? He's not going to ever realize his full potential, but he doesn't need to realize his full potential to be an awesome dog, okay? Because very few people are ever going to have their dogs in a situation where that dog needs to perform at a super high level, And so when you're doing your dog training, like, if it's good enough so that you can integrate the dog into your lifestyle, then it's a good enough methodology, it's a good enough approach. And don't let somebody like me be on TV, doing stuff with you and making you feel bad about what you're doing, okay? I'm just showing you what I do. I get paid by the day. I'm in no hurry. I got a lot of space. I got a lot of helpers. I got a lot of mentor dogs. And so, I'm interested in what's possible, and I'm interested in the kind of training that makes me a better person, You might not be in that same situation or have those same goals or same expectations, okay? And your dog might not ever look like the dogs that you're watching on TV. And that doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter, not even a little bit. All that matters is that your dog is able to be fully integrated into your life and whatever your lifestyle activities are. Very nice. Hey, get up there and wait. Very good. And you see, like, even right there where, like, Bradley got down there. That was just a mistake of youthful exuberance. Like, he was like, hey, are we headed on to that next thing? And I'm like, no, not yet. Let's get back up there. Try that again. Very nice. But you see that? That's what I was telling you about on the rubble pile. You notice that he doesn't have good awareness of his body. That's because, like, when he was young, even though he had tons of potential, the owner failed to realize the importance of getting him out in a wide range of physical environments. And this happens to a lot of you guys because you trust what you hear on the interweb, or you trust what you hear from your veterinarian, even though it doesn't make common sense. And so a lot of these dogs are not going out when they're young. They're not getting a lot of physical exposure, right? They're not getting a lot of socialization, and all that pops up in the mid to late adolescent period, right? And then you take them to somebody like me, and even though I have for this particular dog, I have the perfect methodology, right? Okay, he still, since he got started late, is gonna have some trouble doing some of the things that you see the younger dogs do on my channel on a regular basis. But it's good enough, right? Okay, and like I said, we never let perfect be the enemy of good enough. Very nice. Stay there for a minute. All right, and I think we will wrap up there. That should be enough to give you guys something to think about. Now, if you have any comments, post them down below. I'm especially interested to hear what you think about the small adjustments that I made when I was training the dog. See if you caught what I wanted you to catch, or see if you think I was making some mistakes. All that stuff's welcome. You can post anything you want. I try to make these videos to encourage discourse, to encourage people to talk about stuff, and kind of get away from this talking head of this is right and this is right, but there's no dogs being worked. Okay, so tell me what you thought, and we'll see if we can't kind of move dog training in the right direction, where we understand the relationship between breed-specific traits and tendencies, environmental circumstances, and methodology. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Very nice dogs. You're a very nice dog.